is Mary D. After Mary D will be Brandon Claypool, followed by Joseph Rasso.
Hi, good evening, Council and Mayor and staff. Congratulations to the departing employee and the retiree. Mary D here. First of all, I do want to address the clapping issue. I had not really planned to speak on that, but after you read, I do again want to refer you to In Re K, the California Constitutional Supreme Court upheld clapping as a form of pure speech, and it is a response mechanism from the audience that provides vital feedback. So short, responsive clapping, yes. Disrespectful, raucous stuff, no. I am here tonight to again talk about the mileage tax, which continues to simmer on the back burner of SANDAG with strong likelihood of returning for a vote at a future Board of Directors meeting. My intent here tonight is to highlight the unique position that your city is in and the opportunity, as well as the litmus test for integral decision making. To be very clear, by integral, I don't mean the standard definition of essential, but instead the less common meaning in today's world, being founded upon the character attribute of integrity. I now address all elected officials up on the dais, given that at some future point, any one of you might be called to make this crucial decision and cast a critical vote. You are the lone city within the San Diego County that has a toll road, and much of your efforts, both internal as well as at SANDAG, have been focused on retiring that toll early. That makes your actions all the more striking when you fight tooth and nail to get rid of your own toll road in your city, but potentially then want to turn around and impose it on the rest of the county. That is where integrity comes in. Whoever finds him or herself sitting on the chair, in the chair at the Board of Directors meeting at SANDAG, getting ready to cast that vote, I ask that as your hand is poised on the button or mechanism by which you will cast that vote, that you will pause and think back to this meeting and the fate that you are imposing on others, and ask yourself if the vote aligns with the actions that you fought for within your own city. Thank you for your time and attention, and I hope you will give real consideration to the ethical challenge and litmus test soon to come before you. Thank you.
The next speaker is Brandon Claypool, followed by Joseph Rasso, followed by Mary Rasso.
Thank you very much for letting me speak to you. I'm a stronger person today than I was before when I was homeless. I've been through a lot of battles. You've been there with me through all of them. Before COVID, I took it upon myself to pick up as much trash as I could in Chula Vista because I didn't want anybody to get sick. That was my main objective. And I'm still doing it today. I don't want homeless people to be without shelters. Whatever addiction they're struggling with, they need help. Any kind of outreach program, I appreciate. I really wish everybody would stop just targeting homeless people and just don't do that. Disabled people, same thing. They're human beings and they need to be respected. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much for your comments.
The next speaker is Joseph Rasso, followed by Mary Rasso, followed by Deborah Schlemmer.
As soon as they're passed out, then I'll start. And we're going to read together since, well, before it starts, she's going to pass them out, I assume, so you can follow. Anyway, I had about 60 pages of research that I cut down to 10, and I'm only going to read about 2 or 3 because we got 6 minutes. Can you put on 6 minutes, please? Yep. Well. Honorable Mayor and City Council, I'm here to give an update regarding the implementation of the Tenant Protection Act. I have attended 2 city council workshops along with about 20 attorneys and representatives of large property owners. I was the only mom and pop landlord present. I sat mostly back and listened to the concerns of those present. One major discussion of those present was the concern that clients would be liable for $5,000 daily fines for inadvertent errors when attempting to comply with the ordinance's notification process. Staff attempted to calm everybody's fears by presenting 2 points. Despite instructions from the city council, the courts would probably never allow $5,000 fines, and the present staff is going to initially ignore the clause of the ordinance that prohibits the right to cure. I have talked to numerous city staff members. Staffers insist that it is not their intention to dispense fines for mistakes. However, considering substantial fines can be levied for simple paperwork errors, prudent landlords cannot rely on the hope they will not face fines. A prudent landlord must raise the rents. On a personal note, one staff member and attorney took me aside suggesting I seek legal advice. They pointed out a loophole in the law which any competent legal counsel might find a way to exempt my wife and I from this ordinance. I thanked the attorney. I didn't have the opportunity to inform him it was never about us. Mayor and I are hoping to prevent the inevitable rent increase and homeless problems created by this present wording in the ordinance. Honorable Mayor and City Council, may I suggest we avoid future challenges and staff's insurmountable difficulties creating the necessary regulations by simply correcting the poorly worded clauses within the ordinance. On many occasions, I have attempted to bring to your attention the clauses within this ordinance that create the greatest harm to our community. Listed below are the few major clauses. One clause is a $5,000 fine. One clause, you don't have a right to cure. And another clause, I'll get a kick out of this one. Owners and tenants shall provide, if you get a $5,000 fine if you don't obey by this clause. Owners and tenants shall provide the city with information regarding termination of tenancies at such times with such details, such required by the city and tenant administration regulations. Nobody knew what that meant at the meeting. So, but these representatives are paranoid that their clients are going to get fined $5,000 a day, which can compound to quite a bit. Another discrepancy of the ordinance is the definition of substantial remodel. It's deeply flawed. There's a big, long, as you can see, definition of what the substantial remodel means, but all that definition could be replaced with any improvement which cannot safely be completed without a tenant vacating the premises. Another problem with the present wording of the substantial remodel is that landlords knowledgeable of this clause in many cases are prohibited from improving antiquated rundown properties. Many properties on the west side of Chula Vista are old, much needed repairs. Discouraging property improvements in this area of our city not only degrades our community, but it also encourages the establishment of slums. Mary and I are fortunate. Staff pointed out we may be exempt from the effects of this ordinance. This fact should prove to all present that our motives are not selfish. Some of our tenants have been with us for 10, 20, even 30 years. We consider them as neighbors and friends. In my 51 years as a landlord, I have never evicted anybody. Our goal of this and past presentations to City Council is to modify the ordinance number 3527 so that simple paperwork errors by tenants and landlords does not result in the loss of a person's life savings. I will continue to work with Chula Vista Housing Commission, the Sandiego Alliance for Californians for Community Endowment, that's ACE, you guys know about that, and any other organization which would assist our efforts to modify clauses within this ordinance that are detrimental to Chula Vista renters. I am pleading with you to show compassion for the most vulnerable of our city by offering and passing the following resolution. Implementation of Ordinance 3527, the Residential Landlord and Tenant Ordinance, be delayed to give staff sufficient time to modify clauses which adversely affects renters and insert clauses giving the right to cure for those who are in violations because of inadvertent mistake. And in closing, I won't go into it, but the last pages gives a whole bunch of statistics that were supplied by city and supplied by the federal government. And the 10th item on that is a conclusion I drew from those first 10 items, and I want to read this because I drew this conclusion. With rents at an all-time high, credit card debt at historic levels, and saving at all-time low, pushing almost $11 million rent increase on Chula Vista residents who can least afford it will be devastating if less than 0.5% of Chula Vista renters are pushed over the edge and are forced to live in the streets. I predict by the end of the year, you're going to have almost 600 people pushed onto the streets homeless because of this ordinance. There are things in this ordinance that are very poorly written, and it forces landlords to raise rent a tremendous amount just to finance the fines that are going to come. That's it. God bless you guys.
God bless you. Mr. Rosso?
Yes.
One thing, we don't allow seating time during public comments. I let you spoke, I thought you were going to do 3 minutes, and then your
Oh,
wife
I
was
see
going
what
to
you're
do
saying.
3 minutes. So in the future, just do your
and
3
then
minutes.
make
If you
my
want to
wife
do
talk.
more than 3 minutes, your wife can go ahead and speak her 3 minutes.
Okay. She didn't want to talk, I don't think. She's pretty shy.
No
God bless
problem.
you. This is passionate.
Thank you, Mr. Rosso.
The next speaker is Deborah Schlemmer, followed by John Acosta, followed by Zenita Encarnacion.
Good morning, you guys, or good evening, should I say. I am here because I would like to know if I can get help from you guys to be able to get cameras put into the parks of Chula Vista. There's also, because there's been kids being killed and amendments, there's Caleb Beasley, there's Andre Guzman, my son David Bruley, my grandson Joseph Arias were killed, in August of last year. And we thought that there were cameras up on the lights of the area by the park. Come to find out, there's no cameras anywhere. And so I'm hoping that maybe you guys can help direct me to try to start some kind of a thing so that we can get cameras put in parks to protect the families. I was just looking on a website, and it says Cesar Lopez is a musician, and he got killed on Sunday in Claremont Park at 11 during a family event. And so I'm just hoping that you guys can help direct me, try to get cameras put somewhere around parks to protect the people that are there for the right reasons. These gang members still hang out at Velalindo Park, where they killed my son and my grandson. And they're there every evening, and the people that live around there can't even go there because these people are there. If there was cameras, then it could stop the people that are doing the murdering and the raping and all the other stuff that they're doing there, could help, stop them from wanting to go to the parks. They would find other places to do it, or the families and, elderly people are trying to have fun with their families, and instead they see their kids get killed. So I'm just hoping that you guys can help me find a way to get cameras either in the parks or on the areas by the parks. And also, I have my crosses that are over on Velalindo and Mendocino Street on Berrywine, and the apartment complex are wanting to take my crosses down. So I'm wondering if there's something you guys can do to help me figure out how to keep the crosses where my children were murdered at. So I'm just hoping that you guys can reach out to me and help me figure out how to get like a, my son doesn't and grandson don't die in vain, and they can get something going to say, well, now because of these murders, that we're gonna come and do something about it and put cameras in the public place, protect the public, not the people that are not there for the right reason, but that's a public park. And I'm hoping that we can get public cameras put into a public park. So thank you very much.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Can you hear me, ma'am? First, I sincerely am sorry for your loss. I'm going to
I
go.
got my son right here.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and refer you to our Public Works, that Tracy Lamb's back there. He's waving. I'm going to refer you to him, and then also Member Preciado would like to make a comment.
I'd like to share with you that I just recently had a conversation with the city manager about lighting in a particular area. Cameras, of course, are critical, but I'm wondering, Mr. Mayor, if we can make a referral to the city manager and her team to see if in appropriate places we can have some sort of lighting and safety study to understand how to support our law enforcement team to continue to keep our city safe. So I'm wondering if we can make that referral and see if we can come back with some recommendations of how to respond.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
do
police,
we
the police
have-
did say if we had cameras, it would be a lot helpful.
Do we have consensus on that referral? We do. The city manager would like to speak.
Just very quickly, because this item is not agendized, just want to let you know that we did quite a bit of work last year with the community to bring forward a privacy policy, and we are working on a citywide technology proposal that we will be bringing back to the city council. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your referral, Member Preciado. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you, Mayor, so much.
Mr. Lamb will be talking to you. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is John Acosta, followed by Zenita Encarnacion, followed by Michael Encarnacion.
Mayor, council members, what I'm asking is for a town hall meeting between you, all of you, and the community. Because we come over here and speak, we don't hear from you. You guys do, I mean, ladies, gentlemen, and council members, mayor, you guys do, things that we don't know nothing about it. When we come out here and approach things to you, we don't get an answer. So I would like to have a kind of town hall meeting so we can ask questions and you will get answers, okay? Also, Councilmember Purcell, you said the other day that you heard hateful speech. It's not hateful. I think it's more resentful. And, we're disappointed. We are disappointed because everything that we approach a topic, you ignore us. For example, the appointment that you all did with Councilmember Alonso Gonzalez. Everybody that came in here was asking for a special election. You totally ignore the community. You totally ignore the community, and that's what we want to hear from you. Also, Councilmember Andrea, we want to hear why you are voting the way you're voting about the guest tax. The mileage tax. Those are the questions that we need to know. You might have a reason we don't know. Let us know. Because, like I say, we come in here and we do not know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So we have the right as a community, we need to know what you guys are doing. Ladies and gentlemen, council members, mayor, we need to know what you guys are doing and why. The mileage tax is going to affect everyone, including you, when you're no longer a politician. One of the things that trying to enforce right now is the public transportation, but you have heard lately the tuberculosis spread I heard in a trolley coming from San Diego, from San Isidro all the way downtown. And that was, let's say, for almost a month. Now, hepatitis A is a spread. Do you expect the community or your family members, I'm sure you guys don't, ladies, don't use the public transportation, but you're exposing the public, not only for hepatitis, for, hepatitis A. So please consider that, we need to have a town hall meeting. Okay, thank you.
The next speaker is Zenita Encarnacion, followed by Michael Encarnacion, followed by Alan C.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm compelled to speak to this body again in response to hateful, not sinful, but hateful rhetoric being espoused in this chamber against the transgender and queer community, many times in the name of God or some semblance of care. There's a story in the Bible told in Matthew and Mark about Jesus and his disciple Peter. When Jesus was speaking about his pending death, Peter pulled him aside and told him, "Don't speak of this." His attempt at presenting a semblance of care was rejected by Jesus when he said, "Get thee behind me, Satan. I am concerned about heavenly things, while you only have human concerns." Jesus was concerned about heavenly things much more significant than holier than thou, self-righteousness, or power. He cares about the hearts, physical and spiritual safety of our transgender community. He would be building relationships with them and their families, finding ways to serve and love them because they are his creation. Each of you represent every member of this community, and that includes transgender individuals, the child, the youth, and the adult and their families. And until this hateful rhetoric is denounced and ceases, it will only compel more, like me, like Sarah from last week, to take time during public comment to be a counter voice so that the folks targeted by this hateful speech know they are not alone, that every transgender child, youth, adult, and their families have elected officials who support them and they also have a community who stands with them. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Michael Encarnacion, followed by Alan C., followed by Laura Wilkinson Stenson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is my first time speaking at the council meeting. but the two things I wanted to speak are important. First, I would like to echo what my wife just said and thank the council for recognizing their responsibility to all those that they represent. And second and lastly, I want to thank Glenn Googans for representing the city well. You have dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's. You will be missed, and thank you for your service to this community.
The next speaker is Alan C., followed by Laura Wilkinson Stinson.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. What you said last week about hateful speech, who decides what is hateful speech? You? You? Me? No. We have the First Amendment. We have the Brown Act. The 3 minutes I'm allowed to say whatever I want. I can curse, I can scream, I can shout obscenities. That is my free speech. But I do agree we do need to be courteous. But you do not censor me. Amen. Let me say some things I do hate. I hate the mileage tax. Most people here hate the mileage tax. I've got a whole binder of crap in here, the things I hate. I hate that my registration, my car is now going up instead of down because they want to tax me out of my vehicle. I hate the affordable housing funded by the taxpayers. That disaster over in K and Third. I will speak about it later. You'll see my slide presentation where you're taking care, hurting that gentleman and his wife trying to rent.
Mr. Curry, if you could make sure you're
Yes, sir,
speaking to us.
I am,
Thank
but
you.
I'm pointing out the guy you're affecting with his affordable housing, that disaster on K and Third. But I'll focus back to that. I hate the equity. You had that group up there talking about equity, putting people in boxes. I hate that. I hate Prop 19. Our own unions actually said when you die, your house gets reassessed to current market value. Thank you, unions. I hate that. I hate the mail ballot harvest. We saw what happened this last election. 4,000 votes, mail ballots got tossed out. I hate that. I hate what happened these last 2 years when we shut down our business, and yet you didn't stop the tax. Why didn't you stop the tax? I hate the fact that you're handing out stimulus checks after the fact to who you decide gets the stimulus checks. I hate that. And last of all, I hate the COVID, what he's done to us, divided us. Who's to wear a mask, who's not to wear a mask. We got censored by social media. I love that Elon Musk took it over and is now exposing what's been happening the last 2 years of censorship. Do what's in your heart. Are you going to toll by your party desires? Or are you going to work for the people here in these chambers? Not only these chambers, but the thousands and thousands of people out there that are suffering, that's lost their jobs. I've served this Navy 20 years. I served my country. But don't thank me for my service. Thank every person that lost their job, the dishwashers, the mechanics. Everybody should be thanked. They provided service to keep our society together. So don't you dare thank me for my service until you thank everybody here you got affected these last 2 years. I recuse.
The final speaker this evening is Laura Wilkinson Stinson. If anyone else wishes to speak, please come see us here. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, it's been a while since I've been at the dais. There's some new faces and some that I recognize. My company, CV Amalgamated, won in appellate court last July against the city of Chula Vista because you broke your own laws in awarding cannabis licenses. The court called the city's conduct, and I quote, inexcusable and unexplainable. But I'm here on a different issue. I'm here to address an ethics violation that I believe is being committed. Since the case was adjudicated, the city has had several closed sessions to discuss my case and 2 other appeals that have been going on from other cannabis companies. One of your city councilwomen took $1 million in her grassroots consulting business in 2021 from cannabis companies. She has not disclosed this to you. March and Ash is her client. March and Ash was also awarded a license in District 1 that they didn't even apply for. And yet she has neither disclosed this in required public financial disclosures nor recused herself from these closed session hearings. She represents interests clearly at odds with mine and with other cannabis companies that are in litigation with the city or have already been adjudicated, as in my case. And these very actions corrode public trust in your city, in your council, and in you. Councilwoman Cardenas. If you represent cannabis companies, you should recuse yourself in these closed sessions and in any decisions that should go with cannabis companies. I know for a fact you represent March and Ash and 10 other companies. And it will come out in public disclosures that you should have already filed with MTS and SANDAG and to this date have not. You must disclose your business interests as required by law to serve in public office going forward. And as mayor and council, you will all become tainted by this misdeeds if you do not address it. Trust is the very currency of public office. Don't erode it any further.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes public speakers for this evening. There are 14 e-comments that were